It all begins with Yingo laughing as she realizes Lin Yang's secret. He practices relentlessly to maintain his peak performance. No wonder you're so good, she teases. Lin, however, retorts, with so many people around, how can it be a secret? He then helps her mix oatmeal while munching on a piece of black chocolate. Yingo eyes the chocolate longingly. In a playful moment, Lin breaks off a piece and holds it up to her mouth, but in a cheeky twist, he drops it back into her bowl instead. There's too much oatmeal for her to finish, and without hesitation, Lin clears the leftovers. Yingo feels a mix of embarrassment and happiness. After all, her parents would never eat her leftovers like this. Originally, Lin had planned to practice with Yingo this week, but he fell sick. As they navigate the crowded ballroom, a group of people approaches, calling Yinguo sister in law with enthusiasm. Overwhelmed by the attention, she's relieved when Lin steps in to help, guiding her into a quieter room. In a light hearted exchange, Yinguo mentions an old player, Liu Shiran, known for his skills. Lin reminds her to be cautious, pointing out that older players are still formidable. Suddenly confident, Yingo responds, "Your girlfriend is very powerful." She then slaps an impressive shot, and Lin grins, knowing he's seen all her game highlights. After their practice, Lin treats Yinguo to a lavish dinner. She can't help but feel it's excessive. Lin, however, serves her lobster while eagerly finishing her leftover vegetable salad. When she asks if he feels awkward eating her scraps, he brushes it off, saying, "Why would I? We're family." As Lin shares a touching story about his younger brother, who he adopted 2 years ago, Yin Guo senses the sadness in his eyes. Feeling empathetic, she assures him he can always rely on her. Then, Lin reveals his financial situation, sending her a screenshot of his bank balance, over 50,000 euros. In a playful response, Yin Guo shows him her own balance, just over 20 euros. Lin can't help but smile, calling her a silly girl. Lin decides to skip his interview, rushing back to the hotel room. He pulls Yingo onto his lap, unable to let her wait any longer. Before she finishes her sentence, he kisses her passionately. As they settle in, she asks about his past, and he opens up without hesitation. Lin also shows her a compass necklace he bought after college, a symbol of his journey. Later that evening, as Yin Guo wakes up, she finds Lin sitting shirtless on the sofa. Eager to take her out, he hands her his phone to check the time. She playfully teases, "Is food all you think about?" After a delightful dinner, Lin becomes the ultimate tour guide, introducing her to various sights and shining in his element. At a bridge under the stars, Lin thoughtfully zips up her jacket, keeping her warm. Knowing how important football is to her, he surprises Yingguo by booking a train ticket back to Hull so they can spend extra time together. Yingguo turns to Lin Yiyang, asking if he'll come to watch her game. Lin's expression shifts slightly as he replies, "I might not be able to, depending on the situation." Curious about him, she asks for his zodiac sign. 212, Aquarius, he shares, and she recalls that his birthday was when he invited everyone out for ramen. She playfully complains, "Why didn't you tell me your birthday?" Lin explains he was too busy introducing himself and didn't want to embarrass her. Yingo regrets missing his birthday, but Lin comforts her, suggesting they celebrate by eating noodles together. As it's time for Lin's return journey, they share a reluctant hug. He leans in for a kiss, but she playfully dodges him each time. Finally, the car he ordered arrives. Just as it's about to drive away, Yingo rolls down the window and surprises Lin with an unexpected kiss, leaving him smiling as she drives off. Struggling with his illness, Lin opts for the bus instead of the train, arriving late at Hexen. Since the billiard room is closer than his apartment, he decides to stay the night. Despite still feeling unwell, he pulls out some vegetable salad from the fridge. Yingo messages him, expressing her gratitude for his help. She's been analyzing competition info about local players, and Lin keeps his response brief, telling her, as long as it's useful. Yingo playfully complains that he's typing less, so Lin suggests a video call. Unfortunately, the connection drops, and when he tries again, he suddenly coughs, worried she might hear him. He quickly pretends the network is disconnected and hangs up. Feeling concerned for Lin, Yingo wants a hand drawn picture of him as her screensaver. She also shares her game schedule, hoping he can watch her first professional competition next Saturday if she makes it to the quarterfinals. Lin, lost in thought, recalls a painful memory and takes time to respond, saying he'll practice and try out new equipment. Yingo is cheerful, saying Lin's billiard room has great equipment. Suddenly, Lin messages her, asking for a chance to correct any mistakes in the future. Yinguo, with a sweet smile, replies that she has a good temper and will just want some delicious food to feel better, sending a bunny emoji that makes Lin's mood lift. Using the charger Lin gifted her, Yinguo feels inspired to practice more. Chengyan asks her about Lin's situation, and she messages him, but there's no reply. Although she's tempted to pry, she decides against it. Lin calls Wu Wei, asking him to visit Yingguo since Chengyan is around, not wanting her to overthink things. Meanwhile, Zhe Yao Yao and her friends arrive in Seoul for their competition, and Lin supports them, assuring them not to worry about expenses. Lin shares with Yingo that Chengyan has shown interest in him, making her a bit jealous, but Lin reassures her, recalling how he was drawn to her from their first meeting. Just then, Wu Wei arrives and, in a teasing way, introduces Yinguo as your sixth brother's wife. Chengyan, surprised, calls her sister in law and rushes off. Over fried chicken, Wu Wei tells Yinguo that Lin has always had many admirers, but Lin's attention on her is unique. This makes Yinguo happy, but as Wu Wei continues with stories of Lin's past admirers, she can't help but get annoyed, biting into a slice of lemon. As the competition starts, even though Lin isn't physically present, he watches the live stream, cheering for Yin Guo and Uncle Chen. To everyone's delight, she qualifies for the next round ahead of schedule, and congratulations pour in. Tired and hungry, she looks for a place to charge her phone, settling down with some fruit. Just then, Lin Yiyang walks in. Zhang Yang, surprised, exclaims, I'm back! Lin smiles, scanning the area until he spots Yin Guo in the corner. Zhang Yang, impressed, comments on Lin overcoming his reluctance to return and support her. In the midst of a rain-soaked afternoon, Yin Guo spotted Lin Yiyang, his hair and clothes drenched, but his presence brought her a sense of warmth. Despite the gloomy weather, a smile spread across her face, grateful he had come to see her. Lin Yiyang squatted down, arms wide open, inviting her into a comforting embrace. If I keep running here early, can I still graduate? She asked, her eyes reflecting worry. With a playful grin, he responded, Can you still want me if you don't graduate? Even if I don't graduate, I want you, she said softly, and Lin Yiyang felt a rush of satisfaction at her words. I'll be waiting for you in the auditorium, he promised. Lin Yiyang settled into the auditorium beside Jie Yao Yao and a few friends. It had been a long time since he'd been at a match, and the atmosphere was electric. As Yinguo's game commenced, her opponent, Shinya, kicked off with a spectacular hole-in-one, having won 5 games in a row, but Yinguo, calm and composed, took a sip of water, showing no signs of panic. Then, in the 6th inning, Shinya missed a crucial shot. Seizing her opportunity, Yinguo focused and executed 7 flawless plays, her confidence unwavering. With the last yellow ball, she made her winning shot. Relief washed over Lin Yiyang as he witnessed her victory. After the game, Yingo celebrated with her coach, then rushed to Lin Yiyang. She held his hand tightly across the auditorium fence, her eyes sparkling with joy. I won today's game for you, she declared, placing his hand against her heart. My queen, today I am the king. In that moment, Lin Yiyang felt an undeniable connection, a spark igniting in his heart. Later, as Meng Xiaodong proposed a get-together, Lin Yiyang decided to join. He couldn't resist spending more time with Yin Guo, so he booked a hotel room for the evening. Once they were inside the room, passion took hold. Lin Yiyang kissed her fervently against the corridor wall, teasing her about her last shot. Why let it go into the bottom pocket when it could have been beautiful in the middle? With a hint of loneliness in her eyes, Yingo replied, I'm just better at thin shots. Lin Yiyang noticed her sadness. She would leave in just a few days, and the weight of that realization settled between them. Let's cherish the time we have left, he urged, asking for a 1 minute hug. Unable to resist, she threw herself into his arms. But just then, Yinguo's phone rang. It was Li Qingyan calling. As she answered, Lin Yiyang, curious and slightly protective, asked for her phone to casually inquire about evening plans. After another heated kiss, they prepared for the night ahead. At 8 o'clock, Lin Yiyang arrived at room 677, where Li Qingyan was waiting, inviting him to join in a few games. The atmosphere was light-hearted and filled with laughter. But as the drinks flowed, the group dwindled down to just Lin Yiyang, Zhang Yang, and Meng Xiaodong. Meng Xiaodong, sensing tension, brought up the fact that Yingo's family preferred Li Qingyan, stirring up unease. Are you really not planning to fight for her? Meng Xiaodong pressed. Lin Yang took a deep breath, admitting he hadn't competed in a long time. But when Meng Xiaodong encouraged him to take action, something shifted within Lin Yang. Is there an empty table? He asked. Zhang Yang nodded. I'll clear the station for you. Once in the ballroom, Lin Yang asserted, You have no chance. He dominated the game, making a hole-in-one, while Li Qingyan barely touched his club. After his victory, he warned Li Qingyan, Yingguo is my wife. No more games. Stepping out into the chilly night air, memories of past conflicts flooded back. Overwhelmed with emotion, tears streamed down his face. Just then, Wu Wei called, and Lin Yiyang inquired about nearby cake shops still open. He wanted to celebrate Yinguo's victory. Meanwhile, as Yinguo awakened, she noticed the time. 11:02 p.m. Worry crept in as she messaged Lin Yiyang, but received no reply. Her heart raced as she also reached out to Meng Xiaodong, only to find no response there either. In a quiet corner of their bustling city, Yinguo received a message from Wu Wei, leading her to 677. As she entered, her heart swelled at the sight of Lin Yiyang, peacefully asleep on the sofa. She hurried over, gently covering him with a blanket, her heart aching for him. Lin Yiyang stirred, mumbling about a cake meant for Xiaoguo, concerned that it wouldn't taste good if left too long. He weakly pleaded, Don't tell her I'm drunk. Yinguo brushed her fingers against his face, her voice soft and reassuring. Got it. I'll eat it right away. In the background, Wu Wei shared a secret. Lin Yiyang had dashed out in the middle of the night to buy that very cake, only to find the shop closed. Exhausted, he'd fallen asleep like a lost soul against the wall. Wu Wei chuckled, explaining that the first thing Lin had asked upon waking was to get that cake. Yinguo couldn't help but feel a mix of pity and amusement. Wu Wei continued, reminiscing about the past. Remember that sweet glass of wine I offered you? Lin Yiyang played a game just to treat you to dinner. Curious, Yinguo inquired why Lin had stopped playing. Zhang Yang filled in the blanks, recounting Lin's bitter past of accusations and conflict that had forced him into retirement. For years, Lin had never looked back. Yinguo took a deep breath and decided to focus on the present. With an important game ahead, she told Zhang Yang and the others to take care of Lin while she played. The next day, Yinguo was in top form, advancing to the finals against Liu Shiran. After the game, she lay next to Lin Yiyang, waiting for him to wake up. He finally stirred, recalling the bittersweet memories the night before had unearthed. Yinguo playfully teased Lin, asking if he remembered their shared moments. He leaned in, curious and mischievous, prompting her to retract her question with a laugh. After a moment, Lin, filled with warmth, told her they should watch the sunrise on an island he had planned for them. Arriving at Helen Island, they drove along the mountain road, basking in the sun and each other's company. The contrast was striking, going from snow-capped peaks to sunlit beaches. Lin Yiyang had a surprise in store. He had brought a box of snow from the mountain for a playful snowball fight. Yinguo's eyes shimmered with happiness as she watched Lin, who was clearly smitten. They built sand snowmen and cuddled up together, dreaming of a night under the stars. Their day was filled with laughter as they spun on a carousel and hung a couple's lock on a bridge, sealing their bond. As they returned to the mountain's summit, they knew this day was just the beginning of countless adventures together. In a cozy cabin tucked away from the hustle and bustle, Lin Yang had one mission to let Yin Guo catch up on some much needed sleep. While she rested, he sat quietly at her bedside, absorbed in replying to emails from his instructor. As night enveloped the world outside, Yin Guo stirred from her slumber. Sleepily, she slid out from under the quilt and curled up on Lin Yang's lap. He gently caressed her face, a tender gesture filled with affection. You should shower first, he suggested, or you won't have time to return to the hotel before your flight. After some refreshing moments, Lin Yiyang and Yin Guo set off for a stargazing spot, the night sky calling to them like a whisper. Lin Yiyang lit an oil lamp, carefully set up a telescope, and invited Yin Guo out of the car for a closer look at the wonders above. As he returned to the car to catch up on messages, Yingo's phone buzzed with a new notification. Curious, she checked WeChat and found a picture of the stars alongside a drawing of her own arm. Lin Yiyang, ever the romantic, asked if she remembered the song from the band they'd heard the night they first met. Love and Shine, she replied, her eyes sparkling. Think about the first two lines, he urged. Look away, the night sky, for you. Yingo gazed up at the cosmos, and Lin Yiyang's words resonated deep within her heart. I can't give you much, he confessed, but thank you for allowing me back into your life. You've given yourself completely to me, a man with an uncertain future and no home. As he spoke, emotion filled the air. Yinguo's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she leapt into Lin Yiyang's arms, overwhelmed by the moment. If you don't want to go back to China, wait for me, she said, her voice trembling with hope. But Lin Yiyang, with a reassuring gaze, replied, I will go back, and I'll follow your pace. I'll do whatever I can for you. Later, as they caught some sleep in the car, Yin Guo burst into laughter. We look like we eloped as kids, she joked, recalling a scene from Titanic where two characters found themselves fogged in a car. Lin Yiyang teased her back, and as if on cue, a light mist began to form on the windows, prompting her to stamp her palm against the glass. Back at their apartment, Lin Yiyang encouraged Yingguo to freshen up while he changed clothes. As she sat there, she noticed two coffee beans on the table, feeling a wave of nostalgia. Sensing her mood, Lin Yiyang offered to make her coffee, and they shared a moment of intimacy filled with unspoken words. Yingguo leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. Is there something you want to tell me? She asked. With a gentle smile, Lin Yiyang replied, I can always reach you on WeChat. Playfully, she mentioned doing laundry, and it was here that he first voiced his desire to pursue her seriously, touching her face softly and suggesting they come back together. Meanwhile, their friend Wu Wei couldn't help but reminisce about his own bittersweet farewells, mirroring the emotions surrounding them. After a flurry of photographs in the laundry room, the moment of parting arrived at the airport. Lin Yiyang assisted Yinguo with her travel preparations, their connection palpable. Wait one more minute, she said with a pout. In a heartfelt embrace, tears streamed down her cheeks. You have to go back to China and chase me, she urged, her heart aching at the thought of separation. With a soft caress, Lin Yiyang kissed her forehead, holding her close until time slipped away. As she walked toward the boarding gate, he sent her a message. Have a safe journey. In a bittersweet exchange, Yinguo requested he delete a note about a red fish, revealing her new WeChat name, Guo in Linli. I'm really gone, she texted, asking him to send her a coffee emoticon, which she cherished. But the emoticon sparked tears, and she couldn't contain her sorrow any longer. On an empty subway, Lin Yiyang sat in solitude, the weight of their parting heavy on his heart. Back at the apartment, he found his friend Zhang Yang waiting with news, handing him a message from Mr. He, a reminder of the responsibilities waiting back home. As Lin Yiyang listened to Zhang Yang speak about an upcoming operation, his mind drifted back to Yinguo. Their shared moments resonated within him, and he knew the long winter of separation would eventually give way to new beginnings.